I am officially at a loss for words. Not only did the Eagles lose to the Miami Dolphins, they blew a 14-point lead to the Miami Dolphins. Ryan Fitzpatrick burns the Eagles again. Ew. What was this? So defense steps it up the last couple weeks, and they revert back to some old habits. What have we seen during this Doug Peterson tenure, during this last few years here in Philadelphia with the D? You got a quarterback who can get the ball out quick, and you can have success. And that's exactly what Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Dolphins did in the second half. Dolphins scored 5 straight touchdowns. But it was a trio of fourth downs, which really decided the game. Because if they don't get a 4th and 4 with Devontae Parker, if they don't get the fake field goal, third week in a row, the Eagles can't stop a trick play. If it wasn't for those two things, this game may have been a laugher. Because those two plays not only get the Dolphins back in the game, but they give them confidence. 28-14 it was. And the little things bite the Eagles again. A drop by Zach Ertz. Jake Elliott can't hit a field goal. And the defense couldn't stop Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, they allowed Fitzpatrick to throw over 400 yards against them last year. And today it was 27-39, 365 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, quarterback rating of 113.7. He got sacked 3 times, and the pressure was relentless. But in the second half, it was kind of non-existent. It wasn't really there. And Fitzpatrick started picking the Eagles apart. Devontae Parker, 7 receptions, 159 yards, pair of touchdowns, 10 targets. So it was Gesicki, it was Parker using their athleticism, just leaping over the defensive backs of the Eagles, just throwing jump balls to these guys. And Parker was able to come down with some contested catches against Darby, against Mills. And that was the difference in the game for the Dolphins here. Alshon Jeffrey is back for the Birds. 9 receptions, 137 yards. They really seemed to force him the football. 16 targets. So from an offensive standpoint, I mean, what I saw with Wentz and Jeffrey, I liked. I mean, I liked it. I was sitting there. I'm like, man, this is great. But the defense couldn't stop anybody today. They couldn't stop Ryan Fitzpatrick. Let's see, 351 yards. I mean, 365 yards. I don't know off the top of my head how many times the Dolphins ran the ball in the second half, but it didn't seem like a lot. It was just one pass after another. It reminded me of when the Giants would play the Eagles, and Eli Manning would just throw the ball, and the Eagles just didn't have an answer for it. The Giants wouldn't even run the ball. They would just throw it with Eli like 40, 50 times, and the Eagles wouldn't stop him because he'd get the ball out so quickly. And, you know, the Dolphins, they do have receivers who can beat you quickly off the line of scrimmage. Allen Hurns, not that they have great weapons or anything, but this has been the recipe to beat the Eagles in the past. What we saw today, this is the exact recipe. Get the ball out quickly, negate the pass rush. The pass rush, was so hot in the first half. Derek Barnett, whoever he was going up against, whether it was Jamarcus Webb, whether it was Julian Davenport, making mincemeat of. Fletcher Cox was getting into the backfield. Timmy Jernigan was getting into the backfield. Everybody was getting into the backfield. And then it stopped. It stopped. Jalen Mills had a rough day. Jalen Mills is normally very good in the red zone, and he allowed a pair of touchdowns. One of them, he slipped, and the other one, not enough depth. And Gesicki got behind him, and he scored a touchdown. Carson Wentz, 28 of 46, 310 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, quarterback rating of 93.6. Miles Sanders, 17 carries, 83 yards. Miles Sanders looks better and better each and every week. he kind of got lost in the shuffle last week because of the loss. He kind of got lost again this week. But he's more decisive with his cuts. He's seeing the cutback lanes. He's doing a better job of knowing when to bounce and when not to bounce. 17 for 83, that's 4.9 yards per carry. He wasn't at this mark earlier in the season. Let's see, what else? Dallas Goedert, 6 for 66 on 7 targets. The one where he had the ball, he was running across midfield, I believe it was. He's still tucking that ball and holding it out like a loaf of bread. Got to get 2 hands on that ball, Dallas. 2 hands. Nelson Aguilar, 3 catches, 41 yards. Zach Ertz, 3 for 24, but it was that big drop that negated a touchdown drive, and then they didn't even get 3 points out of it because Jake Elliott missed a field goal. So all the little things that have been plaguing the Eagles all season long showed up in this game. So that, even on the final drive that the Dolphins had where they scored, there was a 3rd and 10, and the Eagles couldn't get off the field. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I believe, was a bootleg to the left. He found Albert Wilson, and they moved the sticks. And this is, it was a frustrating game to watch. Very frustrating. Probably the most frustrating loss of the season. I was on the radio today, and I was saying, I was like, I had the Eagles winning, but don't be surprised if Ryan Fitzpatrick can get a little bit of time, he can pick the Eagles apart. And I was also like, even though the Eagles have some quote-unquote gimme games, I didn't think that this was a gimme. The Dolphins are playing better than the Giants and the Redskins right now. The Dolphins actually aren't playing that badly. Their offense actually scores some points with Fitzpatrick. Eagles lose. So I think the Dolphins, they have all 3 of their victories within like the last month or 2. They're 3-2 in their last 5 games. So it was the 2 4th downs. It was the 4th and 4. It was going for the fake field goal, and I think it was a 4th and 1 where they got a conversion as well. Those 3 plays were the difference in the game. You're the Dolphins. You don't have the same roster as everybody else. You take a couple chances, and the risks paid off. I mean, that's 14 points on the board. Devontae Parker, 4th and 4, gets a touchdown. Instead of them punting on a 4th and 4, which is probably what every other coach would have done, they go for it. And it keeps the Dolphins within striking distance. And even after the Eagles, I mean, they score a touchdown on the first drive of the second half, and then they only score 3 points the rest of the way. Very frustrating. Extremely frustrating. Somehow the Eagles still have a shot because they got the Cowboys in Week 16, and the Cowboys lost to the Bills on Thanksgiving. At 5-7, the Eagles are still in it. They have the Giants twice. They have the Redskins, and then the Cowboys in Week 16. Believe it or not, the division can still be had. That's where I'm at right now, I guess. All right, that's it for this one. 37-31, Dolphins win it. Move to 3-9 on the year. Eagles fall to 5-7. Still a game behind the Cowboys in the NFC East, but it's only a game. Only one game behind. Whew. Yeah, this was a bad one to lose. Adrian Fetcu.